This is Casey with CAK Tutorial. Today I'm going to start with an introduction to JavaScript, which will be my first video in the basics of JavaScript. To start things off, I do want to mention that I will not be discussing jQuery or talking about the syntax of jQuery. If that's something you're interested in, there's plenty of resources out there, but for the purpose of these tutorials, we are going to stick with pure JavaScript. The other thing I wanted to mention is that there is some assumed knowledge of both HTML and CSS. If you don't have at least a basic understanding of both HTML and CSS, that's something you're going to want to look into before we get started here. JavaScript just relies too heavily on both of those in order to really go through this tutorial. So just a little bit about JavaScript. JavaScript is a client-side language. It is going to be running on the browser. So that means that JavaScript actually runs in IE or Chrome or Firefox or Safari or Opera. There's also other mobile browsers and other browsers out there. That's where it's going to run. Because of that, there is an inherent problem with compatibility where not all statements and methods and so forth will run in every browser the same. Now, in this tutorial set, pretty much everything we're going to be using is going to be cross-browser compatible. There is a standard that's set for DOM, but remember, if you get into some more advanced JavaScript, that is something to keep in mind, that you will have to check the compatibility of these things, and if something's not working, that's something to look into. So let's get started. To start off, we are going to need a program to edit our JavaScript in. Now, I'm going to be using Notepad for the remainder of this tutorial. I prefer Notepad, it's a little bit cleaner, but there's no wrong answer. If you want to use Dreamweaver or another IDE or something, that's absolutely fine. It's whatever you feel comfortable with, but again, for the purpose of this tutorial, I will be using Notepad. So I've created my simple HTML document, which I will save as example1.html. And we'll go ahead and open that up. And here's our blank document. So let's just add just a little bit of content. Hello world. And there's our hello world. So just a little bit about HTML. As far as what we're going to be discussing, it's primarily going to be this body section and this head section. The only other element we're really going to be using is a div. Now, div is arguably one of the most commonly used elements in HTML. Now, most of these methods can be applied to other tags. There are tables and paragraphs and spans and different things. Again, for the purpose of this tutorial, we're going to stick with divs just to kind of simplify things. Now I'm going to give this a little bit of styling. I'm just going to give it some background color of, let's just go red. As I save this, you see that the div is going to be all red. The div is going to take up the entire width of the page, with the exception of some margins that are assumed on the body, and it's going to be as tall as the content that is inside of it. And just to add a little bit more styling, the only reason, again, I'm assuming you already understand styling in CSS. The only reason why I'm giving this some styling is just to show that we can manipulate different tags, and instead of taking up the entire width, now we've given it a different position and some other attributes to move it around. And this is going to be important later with JavaScript, as you can style it with JavaScript, and that's how you're going to create drop-down menus and other dynamic content. So now let's get in right with the script tag. So the script tag is going to be holding all of our JavaScript. So everything within these two tags is going to be JavaScript. Now, I will discuss the script tag more in a future tutorial. For right now, the only thing I really want to put in here is our type. And some browsers will assume if you're using the script tag that you are going to be typing JavaScript. Some won't. I always include the type as text/JavaScript just to be safe. Again, there are other attributes that you can give to the script tag. The two that we're going to be focusing on is type, and in a little bit we'll be working on source. So in here I can start typing my JavaScript. So I'm just going to do an alert, and alert is just basically a pop-up. It's a JavaScript alert, and so it's going to give me a little pop-up that says hi. And that's just to prove that our JavaScript is working. And as you can see, I actually placed this at the bottom of my content, but within my body tag. So this is one place that we can put our script. The next place we could put it, I mean, really we can put it anywhere. If I want to put it in the top here, that's absolutely fine. I can save that and it'll run just fine. I mean, I could put it in this div if I wanted to. Now, I'm not really going to be touching too hard on the best practices of where to put this. For the most part, you're going to want to put it at the end of your document before the end of your body, but at the end of all of your content or within your head. But it really depends on what purpose you plan on using it for on the placement of it. So some people will put it right after this body. But again, I'm just kind of covering the different places we can put this, which is in the body and in the head. So I'll put it in the head here, and we can see that there we're still working. Now, what's the difference between putting something in the head and the body? Now, this is important because everything is going to be running top to bottom. So if I'm running the script here, it's not going to be able to acknowledge that, say, this body exists because it hasn't gotten there yet. So that's the main importance, which has an easy workaround, but I'll just give you a quick example. Now all I'm going to do is give this a color, let's go green. So here I have went ahead and I've styled the background of the body to be green. Now you don't need to memorize the script. This again is just kind of giving you an example and to show the difference between the body and head placement. So there we can see our entire background is now green. So what happens if we take this, which is now in the body, and we move it up to the head? Go ahead and save that, and when I refresh, and what happened? The green disappeared. And why is that? Is because we are referencing the body. When we do document.body, that's referencing this area, which is where all of your content is going to show up on here. So it doesn't acknowledge that this body exists yet because it hasn't quite gotten there. And again, there's some workarounds, but that's one important thing to remember. When you're working in the head, you need to make sure that your page is loaded, or that the element is loaded that you want to work with before you start manipulating it. So that's the main thing we have to remember with placing something in the head tag. Although you will commonly see JavaScript in the head. Now, the second way of including your JavaScript into your document is to provide a source. So let's give our source example 1.js. Now, JavaScript is going to have a JS extension, and you can name it whatever you would like, and you have to specify with src, which is source. And this is going to specify an external file. So this is the second way you can include. As you can see, I still have my opening and closing script tag, but I've just included a source. So I'm going to save that, and I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to save an empty document as example1.js. So as you can see in my folder here, I have my JS file and my HTML file. So if I just go ahead and let's do another alert, and this time let's go by and save it, and when I refresh, you can see now I have my JavaScript alert, which is by. You'll notice that I do not include my script tag because it's already here. So this script tag is specifying this file, and everything in here in this file is going to be as if it was in this area here. So I can put anything in here I want. Again, now if I start trying to modify the document itself, the body, it's not going to be able to do that because the script is located in the head. So again, an important thing to remember moving forward. So that's the basics that I wanted to cover in this tutorial. Again, the placement, you can put it anywhere in the body. It really depends on how you want to use it. You can also place it in the head, and you can do all of the script within the HTML document, or you can do it in an external document. Again, we're going to be working with some styling and some other things. On my next video, I'm going to get into some more basics, some basic objects and how to write to the page and to the console and so forth. Please subscribe, like, and comment, and I will see you next time.